Hi, thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more photos from this trip, please click on the link into my photos website in the comments section below. And if you like the video, please help support it by clicking the subscribe button. Thank you very much. So I ended up having to go out to the East Coast to take care of some personal business. And I got to thinking before I left, I said, what if I just do a road trip and I can try to fit in some side excursions to do some amateur photography. And And then I got thinking, well, wow, could I actually drive my electric car out there? Could I drive my Tesla all the way out there, all the way back, 100%, doing these little photo excursions and all on superchargers? And so that's what I did. Going out there, I was kind of constrained on time, so I constrained it to 4 nights, 5 days of driving, including the excursions. And then on the way back, I needed to cut a little more time off, so I did 3 nights, 4 days of driving. That's from Georgia back to Southern California. I made a total along the way out there and back, a total of 9 what I call photography excursions. And you can see the sites I have noted there in the slide here. And I'm going to go through these and show you some examples of some of the shots I took and the paths I took to get there. Ended up taking about 400 gigabytes of images, which was pretty productive, a lot more than I thought it was going to be. How much did it cost to do this trip? It cost me about $95 to $100 each way. It was about $200 coast to coast round trip, just for the if you're not doing the excursions. If you did these little photo excursions, that added about another $35 in charging costs to it. The average cost it ended up costing me was about $7.50 at each stop. So if you average that over the entire trip, and again, this is 100% Tesla superchargers. I didn't use any level 2 chargers along the way. The total miles I traveled, 5,303. That's round trip, all electric. Going there from my house in California and all the way to Atlanta was 2,790 miles. Coming back was 2513. Here's a little bit about the car I used. I have a 2018 Tesla Model 3. It does have the long range battery in it, and it is dual motor model. I have the enhanced autopilot, and I use the enhanced autopilot about 85% of the trip, I would estimate. They were all pretty much highway miles, and it made it very nice and convenient to use. It did help a little bit with fatigue, and I'll talk about that towards the end of my summary. It was just me on the trip, one passenger in the car. The AC was on. It was set for 72 degrees for most of the trip, and that did play into the energy usage a little bit. The software version that I'm using in the car is 2019.20.4.2. I want to talk a little bit about my strategy for making this trip. So there are two halves of the trip. The first half going from the west coast to the east coast, and then back. So for the first half, what I wanted to do was I actually wanted to cover the southern portions of the western states, and then do just the opposite on the way back. Actually cover the northern portions of the western states. And by doing that, that allowed me to hit different blocks of excursions that I could stop and take photos at. So I'm not going to go through the app software I'm using in this video, but there's many different apps for planning EV. You just go to your app store and you can find them. This particular one lets you break up your trip into segments, which I've done. So I've created a segment for each day of the trip. So there's 5 segments here. On the west coast to east coast leg of the trip is what you're seeing. The one that's the first segment is highlighted in blue. That's the reason it's blue. The rest is gray. The markers for each segment is these circles with the points at the bottom. And then there's a special icon or a special marker for a charger, which is kind of the oval looking second marker on the left side there that's green. And so those show up in their color depending on how you're going to be on your range as far as driving. If you're going to be cutting it close or not, it'll go yellow or red. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to talk about this first segment of the trip and my strategy for it, what I wanted to accomplish on that trip, and then I'll give you some examples of it. To go into a little more detail on day one, I ended up going I-5 down south almost to San Diego. Got on 8, I cut across 8. My first charge stop I planned was for El Centro, and I'll talk about that. But basically, the car was telling me it was best to do Yuma. I got nervous on charging station availabilities on Yuma and switched over to go ahead and charge on El Centro and then make it all the way over to the first stop, which is next to Solero solar power generating station. And if you take that road north, you can see that first marker, and that is the painted petroglyph site. And then the plan was to go back, charge up in Gila Bend because I wanted a full charge, go down to Oregon Pipe National Monument, burn up all my power, but leave enough to get back, and then take my photos there, and then come back and then stay for the night at a hotel not far from the charging station, and then I would charge fresh for the morning. So that's my plan going forward. Okay, so starting off my journey, according to the plan, it should have scheduled me to El Centro. I'm going to drop by Painted Rock petroglyphs. Then I'm going to charge again, go by the hotel, check in, and then I'm going to come out and drive to Chris Eagle and Eagle, I guess, and then drive back to stay at the hotel that night. So I'll be recharging again in Gila Bend. This is how I set up the trip, though, for the planner and the EV app. And this morning I got in, I just said, hey, I'm going to go to the hotel directly, just so it would lay out a plan. And interestingly enough, it picked Yuma, Arizona as my first stop rather than El Centro. So I may force it to El Centro because it doesn't give me much margin to get there or I may spend a little more time. We'll see how it goes on the road here. I decided to stop and charge in El Centro instead. It's showing 8 stalls available. I'm a little worried that Yuma will have to wait. Looks like there's only 2 stalls available in Yuma out of the 8. So, as time goes on, it's going to get more and more crowded. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to cut my charging time. I'll make it a little longer by doing this earlier stop, but it's better than sitting there having to wait. So I'm going to charge here at El Centro. We'll see what that looks like. Okay, coming down across the mountain here to El Centro, and Mexico is to the right over here. Okay, so we started the charge here. Looks like we're getting 140 kilowatts out of this charger, so that's going to go pretty fast. It says full charge here, 50 minutes. That's pretty quick here. So yeah, we'll see how it goes here. It did do a pre-charge as we were driving in, so yeah, I'll see what we can do here. I notice there's a bank there. There's a little restaurant, convenience store, Dollar Tree, JCPenney's, the mall itself. I think I may walk over there, although it's probably not open yet. And yeah, we'll take a look at this. Okay, so I'm back on the road here. It looks like, so my next stop is going to be the Painted Rock Petroglyph Park, I believe what it's called, Petroglyph site. And so that's right before we get to Gila, Arizona. And it says I'm going to reach there with about 28%. My EVTO app says I should reach it by 30%. So we'll see which one's closest to it. Now it's saying 28, so they'll probably be pretty close. Anyway, I'm going to spend about an hour there, and then I'm going to get back in the car and head to the hotel. Probably stop by the charger first and get completely charged up again before I finally head down to the Oregon Pipe National Monument. So that's it. Just a couple quick notes about the first excursion site. The Painted Rock Petroglyph site is about 10 minutes to 20 minutes north off of I-8. You turn right next to Salerno solar power generating plant. It's a BLM site. You pull right into the parking lot there. There's a small parking fee. I think it was $2 when I was there, and you can then walk on a little trail that goes around the petroglyph mound. It's kind of a little mound in the middle there. When I was there was nobody there. It was really hot, but it was nice because I could take my time and just walk through. Pretty quick side trip, maybe an hour at the most, 30 minutes to an hour. You can do it. And here are some of the photos I took at the site. It was midday, so the sun was up. I just parked the car. I was the only person there, and just kind of walked around. And the shadows are pretty harsh, so it was not, like I say, not great lighting, but some pretty unusual artifacts to take photos of. At sunset, it would probably be a pretty nice place, or if you had some interesting sky cover, it would be good as a backdrop.
Okay, I'm at Gila Bend. Just got finished with the painted rock petroglyphs, about 10 miles away. Came in at about 20% or so, 23%, 22%, something like that. So it's not bad. And so I'm at the Gila Bend charger. Looks like there's 8 chargers, about half full right now. 4 cars here, including myself. So we're gonna charge up here. It says I need about an hour charging. I'm gonna need a full charge because after a while I'm gonna be leaving and going down to the Organ Pipe National Monument. So we charge up, just hang out here and may walk around a little bit, although it's super hot outside. And wait.
Just a couple of quick notes about my second photo excursion site. We're talking Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument. It's about 70 miles south of Gila Bend, so you do have to kind of be cautious when you're planning it out for your EV miles there. I didn't know what I was going to encounter. I didn't know what kind of loop road there would be that I might could go around and get a good positioning. I tried getting there maybe 2 hours before sunset. It's a huge area, 517 square miles. The first target was the Chris Eagle Visitor Center, and so I was gonna go there and try to get some information, but they had just closed when I arrived. I think I arrived at 5. So what I decided to do is just go around the loop road and seek out some photo opportunities around the loop road there, and but not try to get too far out since it is a dirt road and I'm in my Tesla. But here's some photos I took of it. These are photos on the way there. Right before you get there on the right, right before you get to the entrance sign on the right, there's a cross just off in the distance. And the way the clouds were, if I would have waited just a little while longer, this would have made an excellent picture. I just did a quick handheld shot here. And again, it's not even golden hour yet, but it was a really nice backdrop with the cactuses and the cross. And then a little bit further, you encounter a lot of the cactuses and the scenery you see in the park, and then of course you'll see the main park sign. And then the rest of these photos are staged from time of day until almost nightfall there, so you can kind of see how the lighting progressed as time went by and through the rest of these photos. Take a quick look at the map here. We're going to make 2 charging stops today, one southeast of Tucson, the other one at Deming. The Deming one's very important because it's really the last charger stop I'm going to be able to make until after Alamogordo. So we're going to charge as full as we can at Deming, and then I'll head up and take photos in White Sands, stay for the night in Alamogordo, then loop back down. The next charger, the closest charger, is El Paso, and then that'll be when I recharge next. So we'll head it up.
Okay, so just leaving Gila Bend, and yeah, so I stopped at Sophia's Mexican, which seems to be a popular Mexican restaurant. Got me a breakfast burrito, about to try that out. So today going to Alamogordo, and the last supercharger appears to be in Deming. So I've set the plan for Deming. I'm going to fully charge in Deming, go visit White Sands, stay there overnight in Alamogordo, which is right near White Sands, and then come back down 54, and then charge up at El Paso and continue the trip from there. So this may be a tricky trip because it's going to put me right on the edge, more than I'm comfortable with. So I'm going to be watching the numbers a little closer on this leg of the trip. Yesterday, by the way, went really well. Went down to the Organ Pipe National Monument. I was like the only person there. I think I passed one more car on the road there. There are a lot of cars coming back on the main highway there, but as far as the park, there was hardly anybody, pretty much nobody that I saw in there. Got there right at sunset, and it was absolutely gorgeous, unbelievable. So really enjoyed that, and then came back right after sunset, and I was looking at the numbers from both the EVTO app and Supercharger, or the Tesla navigation app, and both of those seem to be pretty much in line last night. So yesterday I averaged about 72 miles per hour when it was 75 speed limit, so slightly under the speed limit. I'm going to do the same today. I may go right at the speed limit since I don't have a problem with chargers up to Deming. So yeah, so it looks like about 3 hours or about 5 hours and 19 minutes today to get to Deming, and a couple more hours after that. So yeah, good fun. It's Tucson chargers. So 150 kilowatt, really nice. So there was one other car here when I got here. But other than that, it's pretty empty here on this Monday morning. Okay, just got finished with the superchargers in Tucson and heading towards Deming now. I'll recharge in Deming, and yeah, it's like 2 hours and 43 minutes, and we'll see what it's like there, and then straight from there to Alamogordo. We'll have lunch there. So far, so good. Okay, approaching New Mexico, crossing the state line on the way to Deming. All good so far. A little greener than I remember it last time I was through here. Must have gotten a lot of rain this year.
The one charger I didn't get any pictures of, the Deming, New Mexico Tesla charger. A couple quick notes about my photo excursion number 3 to White Sands National Monument. It's a really big area, 275 square miles. To the east is Holloman Air Force Base. Surrounding it is White Sands Missile Range to the north and to the west. It's kind of an expensive park. There's a road that goes into the back, and then there's a loop. The idea is to park off of the loop, go all the way to the back, park off the loop, and then just walk 100 yards out onto a white sand dune in any direction and look towards the west, and you can get some really nice shots of the sun setting in the west. As it goes down, it looks really good. And here's a few of the shots I took as I was going in, and then as the sun getting closer to setting in the park there. Let's take a look at the detailed map. So the plan is to go from Alamogordo. We're going to go down 54 until we get to the first charger, and that's going to be on the northwest side of El Paso. And then we'll continue down from 10 to Van Horn, and we'll charge at Van Horn. And then the plan is to do an excursion. That's going to be in the morning. So the plan is do an excursion to the caves, because obviously we don't need light in the caves. So we can photograph around there with not much concern about lighting conditions. And then return back from Carlsbad to Van Horn and stay the night there. So I am concerned a little bit with the charge, because I don't know what excursions I'm going to make around the area going up into that way. I've never been to it from the south, so this will be kind of an interesting trip, and I'm going to be watching the power as I go. Okay, heading out this morning. I'm in Alamogordo it's like a new Hampton Inn. It's kind of nice. Pretty quiet here last night, and we're going to head down this morning to the chargers in El Paso, and that'll be our first charge for the morning. So starting off great, sunrise. Okay, I've just entered into the nav, or path for the day here. I'm about to leave Alamogordo. We're going to head down. Looks like charging 15 minutes in El Paso, Texas. My EVTO app said, yeah, you probably want to charge to 70%. So 15 minutes, maybe you'll get me 70%. That's probably the case. And then once we get to Van Horn, Texas, I'm going to do a full charge. Unfortunately, the navigation built-in tool here doesn't let you add waypoints, which really sucks. So I'm going to do a full charge here in Van Horn, then head up to Carlsbad, Cameron's, and then do
the round trip back, and so I'll need pretty much a full charge to do that. So we'll do that, and then we'll stay in Van Horn for the night. That's it. Let's head out. Okay, I'm here at the El Paso charging station. The only guy here. So it's like there's a Hampton Inn, and then there's a Rudy's and a Jack in the Box. So we're going to go into Rudy's and check it out. So 150 kilowatts. Should be pretty quick. Here's the Tesla charging station in Fort Van Horn, Texas, and it's right in the parking lot of a Hampton Inn. So when I pulled up, it said there were 6 available stations, but there were really 8. So I don't know if 2 are out of commission or if it was just reading wrong. But anyway, we're going to finish charging up.
Couple of quick notes about Carlsbad Caverns. I like to get there. There's a trail that you can take where you can actually walk in from the visitor center. We walk kind of down into the cave, and you end up. It's quite a long trail, but you end up maybe an hour or so, and you make it to the very bottom, and then you can take the elevators back up. But as far as photography goes, you can use these high sensitivity cameras and use the artificial light in there to get photos of the caves that are really effective. The only problem is you pick up all the wiring, the stuff that you don't see with your eyes in there, all the boxes and control boxes and all kinds of security things show up that you don't normally see with your eyes, and the pictures don't turn out that great. I'm going to show you a few examples of some that I took, but yeah, I didn't have high hopes for actual pictures in the caves. I was hoping more for the targets on the outside of the caves, some of the wildlife as you're driving in and out of the park, and the Guadalupe mountain range there. So I did end up seeing a few things, and so I'll show you guys the slides here. These are some of the shots I took approaching Carlsbad Caverns. Up on the first few slides here are of the Guadalupe Mountains as you enter that national forest. The mountain you see here is called El Capitan, and not to be confused with Yosemite's El Capitan, but it looks kind of like it. But anyway, the next few slides are the cave entrance, and of course down in the cave itself, and then finally there's a few shots of some bighorn sheep that I just happened to be very lucky to see as I was leaving the cave for the day. So the plan this morning is to get up, leave Van Horn, head towards Midland, Texas for the first charger stop. Then we'll head over to Cisco, Texas for the second stop. That stop need to be pretty charged up because you can see here I've got a warning indicator on the next stop. That just means I'm going to be within 20% on the planner here as far as making it there. We'll get fully charged there, and then we'll head over to Lindell, and then after Lindell, of course, we'll stop in Monroe for the night. So that's the plan for today. Okay, made it to the Midland Texas charger, Tesla chargers. I'm the only guy here. So it's right next to Lowe's, suburban hotel, I guess. It's not really much except for a convenience store here, Love's rather, and then right across the street some other convenience store called DK. And that's pretty much it on this exit. Anyway, so we'll charge up here and we'll see. I think it's a 50-minute charge, and we're getting about 150 kilowatts here, so all good. Just stopped at the Cisco, Texas charging station. Looks like there's 8 chargers here at a convenience store. Okay, I stopped at the Collins Street Bakery charging stations here. Yeah, it looks like there's 4 on this side and 4 on the other side. Gas station across the street. This is a bakery, serves sandwiches and stuff. Pretty nice place, restrooms and everything. So 150 kilowatt here. So charge it up, and then next stop will be in Louisiana. Okay, so I'm at the Monroe, Louisiana Tesla location, charging location. It's behind a courtyard in the Town Place Suites. And that's it. Looks like there's 6 charging stations, one other Tesla there except me.
no, seven, eight charging stations. So, yeah, getting it charged up.
Okay, this is my last day of driving here before I arrive in Atlanta, which will be this afternoon. I'll be making charging stops today in Meridian, Mississippi, and then also in Oxford, Alabama. And finally, when I arrive in Beaufort, I'm going to be starting here with a full charge since there's a charger right here at the hotel. It's going to be all day driving, no photos on this leg of the trip. Ran into a little tropical storm here crossing the flooded Mississippi. Right here at the Meridian, Mississippi chargers. This is at the Bonita Lakes Mall. There's not much around here except the mall itself, and if you hear early, it's going to be kind of closed up, but it's a nice place otherwise. This is the Oxford, Alabama superchargers. There's 8 chargers here. There's Best Buy, a couple of restaurants. Not a bad place. And the final stop was Beaufort, Georgia. So that ended me on the East Coast. Beaufort is just a little town northeast of Atlanta. And took care of the business I needed to there for a few days, and then turned around and charged and headed it back to the West Coast. So let's start the journey back to the West Coast. So let's look at the detail on the return trip back for the first day. There'll be no photo excursions on this first day. We're going to drive as far as we can. The stops are the same except for Birmingham. We're going to stop in Birmingham. Birmingham is interesting. The Tesla chargers are in a paid parking lot. You can get your parking validated if you eat in one of the restaurants that's next to the parking lot. But if you arrive like I did, which is super early in the morning, the restaurants weren't open. I couldn't get it validated, and I was stuck paying a couple of bucks extra for parking on top of the normal Tesla charging fee. So it was kind of a letdown. But everything else is the same. I'm not going to go through the chargers on the way back here that you've already hit. The day ends just before Dallas Fort Worth area, and then that's where we start diverting, because then I start heading up towards I-40 and then return back on I-40. So that was the first day. Let's head out. Birmingham, Alabama chargers. Like I said, you have to pay for parking here to even charge your Teslas. What were you thinking, Tesla, for putting the chargers here? You can get it validated, but that's only if you're in business hours and the restaurants are open. For day 2, we're going to leave just east of Dallas, Texas. We're going to make our first charging stop in Denton, Texas, then head over to Childress, Texas for a second stop. By this point, we'll be almost at I-40. Once we get into Amarillo, we'll be on I-40, and we'll charge there in Amarillo. Our next stop will be Santa Rosa, New Mexico, and then we'll end it at our hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay, here we are at the Denton, Texas charging stations. This is just north of Dallas, and so there's eight stations here. There's a ton of restaurants around here, so all kinds of. It's like a shopping mall, a bunch of strip malls right here together, pretty big. Walmart, like I said, a bunch of restaurants. Panda Express. Pretty nice place to stop. The charger station's in Childress, Texas. Very nice place. It's got a car wash, a giant convenience store. It's got every kind of drink you can imagine. Yeah, so really clean bathrooms, 150 kilowatt chargers. Good place. Okay, here I am at the superchargers in Amarillo, Texas. Looks like there's 8 units. It's it's kind of hard to get to. It's in a lot of the Holiday Inn Express. You have to kind of go around. The nav takes you around, but if you just come in through the Kabuki there, it looks like that's a better path than what the nav tells you to take. Since the restaurants around, yeah, you have to walk a ways. There's a Kabuki restaurant there, and then there's a bunch of hotels, probably 5 hotels. But then there's some good chain restaurants, probably literally about quarter of a mile down. It's maybe too far to walk to charge. So this is the Tesla charger in Santa Rosa. So 8 units, and guess what? Again, in a Holiday Inn Express parking lot. Must have a deal with Holiday Inn Express. Really nothing around here except the Holiday Inn Express and a company Inn next door. Except a gas station, probably within walking distance. Menahall, Albuquerque Chargers. There's 8 of them. Next to a Holiday Inn Express and a Chili's, it looks like. So 8 Chargers.
So by the time I made it to Albuquerque, New Mexico, it was already late in the afternoon. So what I decided to do is check into the hotel and then get enough charge so that I could make a little photo excursion for sunset. So my plan was to go up the Turquoise Trail, which is on the east side of the Sandias and near Albuquerque there, make it all the way up to the top of the Sandia Mountain. They call it the Sandia Crest, which is about 10,000 feet, and get sunset photos. Unfortunately, the cloud layer was really thick. There were a lot of storms moving through the area and didn't really get a chance to get a good sunset. So I got the pictures I'm about to show you, and then I just went back to the hotel for the night and then started fresh in the morning. Okay, so let me go through the plan for today. Going to get up really early in the morning here, 5 a.m. I'm going to just head out of town west of Albuquerque. There's Route 66, which kind of follows I-40, and there's a casino out west of Albuquerque. And right near the casino on old Route 66 is a historic bridge, steel bridge. I'm going to pull off the side of the road there and try to get some sunrise pictures around that steel bridge. Sometimes you can get some neat photography effects around there. And then that gives me in a good position to see the sunrise come up over um, the West Mesas. So I'm going to try to get some pictures of sunrise against the West Mesas as well as the bridge, and then we'll get back in the car and continue on. I may try to pull over along the way and get a moonshot as it sets towards the west there. We'll see if that's successful. And then the plan is to charge. First charge will be around Gallup, and then we'll continue on to Flagstaff. Once we get to Flagstaff, the plan will be to charge up there in Flagstaff, head over to Bearizona, which is right next to the turnoff in Williams, and we'll just check Bearizona out. Maybe some good photo opportunities of the wildlife there at Bearizona, and then we'll head up to the Grand Canyon and the South Rim. And once we get up there, just go to the visitor center. My plan is try to get there try to get there a couple hours before sunset so I can check things out, and then stay for sunset and even stay and try to get a night picture. The moon's coming up just right after sunset, so that probably won't do too great, but we're going to give it a shot and just see what we can come up with there. So that's the plan for today.
Well, it's 5 a.m. I'm here at the Albuquerque Supercharger here off of 40. It's in the parking lot of a restaurant here, and right next to the Holiday Inn Express. 4 slots here. It's 5 a.m. There's one other car that pulled in, and so there looks like they're charging too. Looks like there's a total of 6 chargers. It's kind of unusual, but anyway. This is the Tesla charger at Gallup. There's 4 stations, it looks like. It's in a parking lot of a Hampton Inn hotel. Nothing really around to walk to. Just a hotel across the street and gas station way down. That's about it.
this is the Flagstaff, Arizona Tesla charging station. Very difficult to get to. It's not clear on the map how to find this place. You got to kind of go straight up a hill and around to the side of the hotel, then turn again on another little part of the hotel parking lot to get to it. I guess you have to walk down a hill to get to the restaurants at the bottom, or either walk around the road. It's not clear. Two of the chargers here don't work, so they seem to be completely broken. The rest seem to be working. Yeah, I guess you have the hotel lobby. That's about it. Okay, a little bit about the last day of the trip here. It's going to be all driving day. Leaving the hotel here in Flagstaff, had a good photo session yesterday in the Grand Canyon South Rim. Going to head it on out. The nav software in the car wants me to go through Baker, California. The nav planning software says no, it's not the best way to go. I'm going to go through Baker, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that route because I heard about this giant 40 charger station that's in Baker, and I want to check that out. So we're going to make that detour. I'm a little nervous because it's going to kind of put me at the edge of my limits there. It looks like, but everything looks like it'll make it. So we'll give it a shot, and then once I charge in Baker, it's straight home, and I should arrive home today. So it'll be a great end to a trip.
Guess I'm in my routine for charging out the chargers. Well, after I've done a photography shoot here, so what I do is I use this time to copy my photos and upload them and back them up to my laptop. So yeah, so that's what I spend my time on. Like, this is the Baker, California supercharger site, gas station, Jersey Mike's, Dairy Queen, 40 charges.
And I made it back all the way from Atlanta back to California. Total round trip 5,303 miles, all electric vehicle. So to wrap it up, what are the lessons learned? Well, I did a 100% EV coast to coast trip. It's easily doable with the Tesla superchargers. I had no issues during my trip with my Model 3, no breakdowns or no issues. I didn't have to wait in line at all for the Tesla's charging. That must be a California artifact. But there was a Tesla void between El Paso and Mississippi. I saw just literally one or two Teslas that whole entire large segment here. I call it the Tesla void across the U.S. there. I started cautious in my planning initially, so leading up to the trip, I did a lot of planning on the apps. But then in the end, I did get a lot of trust in the nav software and where it was going to take me and kind of what my driving style was. And so basically what I ended up doing was basically starting with my planning tools, but then using the navigator kind of real time to adjust things on the fly. The whole trip, I did use the enhanced autopilot most of the trip. I would say at least 80%, 85 maybe percent over it. I had two cases though where I had to take over. It was a good thing I was paying attention because there was one with traffic barrels where they were coning off the road, and the Tesla Autopilot just ignored those barrels, didn't even see them. And the second one was with cones, the same thing where they were shifting the lanes with cones, and the Tesla, it was completely invisible to the Tesla Autopilot, and I had to kind of take over at the very last second to get it in the right position there. They still need to work on that. If you do a plan like this yourself, my advice is use a third-party app. if you can, to do the planning and then execute the plan in real time using the Tesla navigators. That seemed to work with me. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the photos from my photo excursions and learned about the trip all the way from California to Georgia and then back to California again. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Definitely like to do it again if I can ever find the time to do it. Thank you.